Do you know that during Revelation there will be the generations of Jacob and Joseph, in which Moses will be together with Jesus? There will also be a flood that will only affect the wicked. Therefore, you could be the nicest person on the world, but if you're saying the wrong, you are not righteous. For the righteous say the right. So let's read what the Most High has to say. The peoples of Africa are determined that not 1 inch of African soil shall remain in the hands of the colonialists. During the times of Jesus. So Jesus, the son of Nav, the successor of Moses, according to his name, was made great for the saving of the elect of God. He fought in the sight of the Lord, and he followed the mighty one of Israel in the time of Moses. In other words, the mighty one of Israel is together with Moses and Jesus. And Jesus goes by the name of Joshua. Therefore, Nun is just another name for Moses. So Joshua, son of Nun, was assistant to Moses. And Joshua is one of the judges. For his heart was not deceived, and he did not abandon God. So as you could clearly see, his father Joseph becomes a Lord. So Joseph, in the time of distress, kept the commandment, because Joseph is Moses. He kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. Don't forget, Moses was in Egypt. While Jesus, fulfilling the word, was made judge in Israel. And when is that supposed to happen? When God changed the elements. For the elements were changed in themselves by a kind of harmony, like as in a psaltery note change the name of the tune, and yet are always sounds, which may well be perceived by the sight of the things that have been done. For earthly things were turned into watery, and the things that before swam in the water now went upon the ground. The fire had power in the water, forgetting its own virtue, and the water forgot its own quenching nature. On the other side, the flames wasted not the flesh of the corruptible living things, though they walked therein, neither melted they the icy kind of heavenly meat that was of nature to melt. For in all things, O Lord, didst. And when did this happen? When Jesus was around. So this Jesus was the son of Sirach and the grandchild to Jesus. In other words, the Jesus, the son of Joseph, had a grandchild named Jesus, who lived in the latter times after the people had been led away captive. Why? Because it's supposed to be 430 years of slavery. So from 1619 to 2049, and called home again, and almost after all the prophets. Now his grandfather Jesus, as he himself witnesseth, was a man of great diligence and wisdom. And he's going to die. So the first Jesus died. Then Sirach, his son, to his own son, left a book to his own son Jesus. In other words, Sirach had a son named Jesus. And that Jesus did imitate Solomon, and was no less famous for wisdom and learning, both being indeed a man of great learning, and so reputed also. So his grandfather, Jesus, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and the other books of our fathers. So who that Jesus? That Jesus is the son of Jesus, son of Elazar, son of Sirach. So this Jesus is the grandson to Jesus, and he is also the son of God, because Elazar is just another name for God, as we could see in the beginning of Esdras 2. So you see, the son of Elazar. Who is the son of Elazar? Esdras. And Esdras is also the son of Azarias. He's also the son of Heli. And he's also the son of Zachary. He's also the son of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Osias, Amos, Michias, Joel, Abdias, Sophonias, Agias, Malachi. Why? Because they are the angel of the Lord. In other words, God himself, who is the highest angel, who goes by the name of the seraph. The title of the seraph. So I brought the people out of the bondage. Selah, who is the Lord, brought the people out of bondage and gave them his commandments. When? At the end of times. He's going to give it to Esdras. Esdras is just another name for Joseph, just another name for Moses, just another name for Solomon. So I, Esdras, received a charge of the Lord upon the Mount Oreb that I shall go unto Israel. But when I came unto them, they set me at naught and despised the commandment. Not the 10 commandments, the commandment. In other words, God spoke to him and told him the law. So look for your shepherd that shall come in the end of the world. Be ready to the reward of the kingdom, for the everlasting light shall shine upon you forevermore. In other words, they created an Old and New Testament format and put the future in the past. So as you can see, Jesus, the son of Josedek, of the house of David. So Jesus, the son of Josedek, who's supposed to be here at the end of times, also has sons. So of the sons of Jesus, the son of Josedek. Remember, we just read about Sirach, which is one of his sons. For Jesus has at least two sons, one named Ezer and one named Sirach. So of the sons of Jesus, they gave their hands to put away their wives to make reconciliation for their errors. In other words, Jesus' sons was messing with foreign ladies who had different gods. So remember, Jesus, the son of Josedek. And we already see that son of Josedek is of the house of David. So the same Jesus that's together with Moses is from the house of David. So as we could clearly see, Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary. Therefore, Joseph is from the city of David because he was of the house. See it clear? He was the house and family of David. Therefore, he is the house and family of Jacob. He is the house and family of Heli. The same Joseph that's the father to Jesus. So Jesus began to teach about 30 years old, and he was of Joseph, the son of Heli. In other words, Jesus is the grandson of God himself. And as we clearly see, Jah is Jacob, for Jah has chosen Jacob even for himself. So let's read. The Most High. And look what he said. Selah, for this shall every one that is godly pray unto thee in the time when thou mayest be found. Surely in the floods of great waters they shall come nigh unto him. Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt, in other words, Selah is God himself. And if you know God, then he's your hiding place. So thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. Selah. In other words, Selah is one of God's many names. But this guy who's proclaiming to be a biblical scholar don't even know what it means. So how could you be a scholar if you don't know the obvious?
Linguistically of certain words has expanded, and the King James translators are very open about this, that there are hard words, there are words that we just don't have enough context. This is true even today.
How you don't have enough context? It is written in many Psalms, Selah, and he's literally saying that's God's name himself, but how you don't notice?
Selah. Now, we have a good estimation that it has something to do with music, that it probably means a pause. For whatever reason, in God's divine providence, it has not been essential that we understand what that word
is. It's very essential that we understand, because we need him to protect us from the floods, which will only affect the wicked. And remember, you could have the most gender fluid voice. If you're saying wrong, then you're unrighteous. You're not righteous if you're saying wrong, constantly saying the wrong stuff.
Word means, and we've been fine with transliterating it as Selah in our modern day texts. But this is true even today. I think the King James translators would have been eager, if they had what we have today, to utilize it to its most capability.
In other words, today, with the likes of him, they want to change the meaning of Selah, which clearly means God. Like it clearly means God. Selah, I acknowledge my sin unto thee. So whose sin is being acknowledged to? Selah. Basically, Selah is God. He's the one that's going to protect you in the times of the flood. So let's watch. Remember, Jacob, as for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee. In other words, God chose Jacob for himself. So wherefore set your affection. This is what it says about God today. This was he. We fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. In other words, they want you to believe that God is dead. Therefore have we erred from the way of truth. Remember, God is an ever-living God, so he can't die. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. What have pride profited us? In other words, what did those rainbows do? They created a storm that's on the way. For the hope of the godly is like a dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin froth that is driven away with the storm. but the righteous live forevermore. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown for the Lord's hand. He shall take holiness for an invisible shield. The world shall fight with him against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark, and hailstorms full of wrath shall be cast out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. This iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth. In other words, you better know who Selah is in these times so you could be protected from the flood. In other words, if you're wicked, you better know to follow Jah. So follow Jah now, man.
Can you keep a secret? Keep it in your mind.
Keep it in your mind.
Can you keep a secret? You search and they can't find.
Who search but they can find.